Thanks everyone for watching. Today we're going to talk about 10 baits they need to bring back. These are great discontinued baits that you need to get if you can find them. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you checked out my channel before, you know it's a lot of the latest and greatest, a lot of reviews, a lot of new tackle, a lot of trends in the industry, that sort of thing. But I also like to dig back and talk about some old school stuff once in a while, and that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to talk about 10 different baits that are discontinued, that are really hard to find, that get big prices on eBay, that work. You know, some of them actually have come out with new versions, but it's kind of up to you to decide if that new version is as good, but there is a big following for these originals. So I'm going to run through 10 of them. I did a YouTube short about this and had a lot of great feedback. I asked what other baits was I missing. There's a lot of baits out there that are there for a while, they disappear because who knows, either the company gets sold or they just didn't sell well, but then they have a cult following down the line. And I think all 10 of these baits fit that. So we'll jump right into it. Number one, we're gonna go with the original P70 Pop R. Obviously poppers are everywhere you look. Rebel still makes one, but this is the original, the big giant one, the P70. You know, guys used to shave this down here, you know, do all kinds of modifications to get it to spit and chug differently. I mean, again, there's a lot of big poppers out there, but there's something about this one that people really like. It's a big popper, bigger than your normal popper, and it has a huge following. You can tell this is the original old school. It's kind of got the, I don't know what you call it, but you could just definitely tell it's a Rebel finish just by looking at it. Anytime you see that kind of paint job with that kind of texture, you know it's a Rebel. Kind of sticking with the popper theme, we got this one. This is the Excalibur ZL Pop. This is another one that looks very similar to most poppers out there. I mean, it looks like a Rico, looks like a Splash It, looks like tons of different poppers, but there's something about this that is really in demand. I don't know if it's a sound or whatever it is, but really anything Excalibur, and there's a couple more on the list, there's a huge following for those just because of how well they performed. It could be nostalgia, who knows, but like I said, there's more Excalibur coming, and what we got here is the One Knocker. You know, Booyah has a version out right now, but everyone that I know that loves this bait says it is not the same. You know, this is the One Knocker. It's got that one solid weight in there that you could see. This is the XR50, I believe it's called. Yeah, XR50, but there's a lot of different ones, but no matter what it is, it's gonna be in demand. And again, everyone I've talked to who fishes them all says the Booyah one is not the same, even though it's the same company. You know, down the line, it's just not the same design and sound as the Excalibur. So speaking of companies changing hands, this one's probably the most popular example, but this is the original Wart pre-Rapala. This is one that I used in my first tournament ever back in the late 90s. I used to catch a lot of fish on this, but Lake Mead, I remember catching fish on this exact bait. This is the Phantom Green Craw. I mean, this, I could probably sell this bait for 60, 70 bucks, maybe more. I'm not going to, just because it has that memory to it. I haven't even fished it lately. I have some other of the original Warts. They do work, they do catch fish. So do the new ones, but I think there is something to be said about that sound. You know, they use different lead inside of there. I kind of touched on that in another recent video, talking about how plastics change, how the materials for rattles changes, all that changes. And again, it's up to you to decide if the original is worth the price, but they are definitely cool. They're very sought after. A lot of people collect them. And I have a whole bunch of them. I really like having them just for the confidence factor. And I think that's really what it is, because this bait does catch fish. It has a great hunting action, and this is really the model for a lot of modern crankbaits. You know, think of the Spro Rock Crawler, things like that. But the original Wart is definitely belongs on this list. I'm gonna talk about a couple of the lure Jensen models. So this is the Hot Lips Express. It's got a big crazy bill. I did see someone just came out with one of these kind of copying this at a recent iCast. I cannot remember who it was. I want to say it's one of the American Baitworks companies, but this bait was kind of one of the first big deep divers that I ever used. Really unique, you know, not a huge body, but it still got really deep. So this is the Hot Lips Express. You also got to mention the Speed Trap. I have some of them somewhere, I couldn't find them, but that's another one that's really in demand. Again, a Lure Jensen company that got bought by Rapala. They produced it for a while under the Rapala name with Lure Jensen. Now it's under the Storm name, I believe. But again, going back to that Wart, a lot of people say that it has changed. I don't know enough about it, but I know it has a huge following in certain places. Another one is the Brush Baby, which has that same kind of lip as the Hot Lips Express, but it's got these, you know, these wings, I guess you could call on it. It kind of looks like a Sakamoto shad almost. Has these wings that's supposed to help it deflect from cover better. I have caught fish on these. They do work, but they're no longer around, and a lot of people really, really like them. Okay, speaking of baits that people really, really like, these are really in demand. You got the Paycheck Baits, the One, and then the Repo Man, and this obviously was the Vixen as well. Now, both of these are available with Tekkel. Tekkel Hideki is the one who made the baits for both Reaction Innovations and Paycheck Baits. I just did that video on the Max Squeaker Buzz Bait. Now it's used to be called the Reaction Innovations Squeaky Dolphin. So again, he's responsible for that, and a lot of these proven designs in the same mold, same designer and everything are available from Tekkel. But the original Repo Man and the One are very good topwater baits. So the next one is actually one I'm bringing up to go fishing this week, and it's a great bait. This is the fat-free shad. There's a whole bunch of versions of these. You know, there's a fat-free guppy, the fat-free fingerling. This is a suspending version. But what makes this one unique, besides anything else, is it says Bill Dance on it. This is when he was with Excalibur. You know, this was a very popular crankbait in the 1990s. You can get it now under the Bomber name. It's only about $4. I did a video on that too, the new generation of Bomber crankbaits, and that was one of them in there. It's only $4, but there's something nostalgic about this original, and I like that is a suspending model. So I just put some new owner hooks on that, and I will be hopefully catching fish on that this week. I'm gonna rig this thing up. That's the reason I got it out. And you know, again, it caught fish for me, you know, 20 years ago, but it's still gonna work. It's got a great action, and I don't know if there's much of a difference between this one and the new version, but we'll see. Okay, got a couple more. So this one is also really in demand. It's a Lucky Craft square bill, and they have a ton of different square bills, but what makes this one unique is this is an RC version, the Rick Clunn version. So because of that, it is a lot more expensive if you look on eBay. And the thing about it is too, is it's the same body shape really, but apparently they've kind of cheapened it up a little bit since then. You know, they have a cheaper version. So I don't know if it's that much better, honestly, but a lot of people really like the RC versions. They're really in demand. And the last one's kind of a sneaky one that you might not have heard of, but this is called the STI Pupfish. So this bait right here was actually built and made, or I guess sold out of a company in Las Vegas, and I used to live there. This is where it was at. It was STI Lures. They had the pupfish in several different sizes, and then they had a jerk bait, kind of wake bait called the snail darter. Those are really in demand on eBay, like all these other ones. And what's unique about this, and honestly, I haven't fished the big version as much. My buddy gave this to me actually as a gift, but I have a smaller version of it and that I have used quite a bit. What's unique about this is it's a walking bait, but it rests like this when you stop it. So it's tail weighted, it casts really well, but as you're walking it side to side, and if you stop, it's like that. So it's really unique compared to a lot of walking topwaters. I think that's why it's so in demand. There's even a huge version, I think it's like an 8-inch version that's really popular for, you know, big bass places and stripers and things like that. It's just a completely different look, but the STI Pupfish is another one that I really wish they would bring back. There are some baits out there that kind of have more of that action, you know, like the Sammy, but this one is like almost vertical. It's crazy when you fish it. There's so many more baits out there that are discontinued that I wish they'd bring back. So let me know which ones there are out there. Which ones am I missing? I could think of a few off the top of my head, like the Terminator spinner bait. You know, that was one that I got a lot of questions about. There's a lot of plastics that they just stopped making for whatever reason. So let me know what I'm missing, which ones you wish they would bring back, and if there is a difference in these new generations versus the old generations, or if it's just anglers being anglers. Let me know.